Okay, men, for today's project we're going to learn to use Dreamweaver a little bit more in depth. So what we have here is a screenshot of sort of a template we'd like to make. Gray background. There's an image up here. It looks like some aspen trees, so we'll call this website Aspen. It's got this header area with some links, the main content area with subheadings, and a sidebar and a footer. So you can try to do this without the tutorial. Certainly it's not too terribly difficult, but I'll run through every step of the way for you. So what we want to do in Dreamweaver, open up a new page and go down to Page Properties and go to Background Color. I'm just going to set this as a dark gray. Take a look at my picture. That looks about right. And then light gray and white are the only pictures we have. Or excuse me, only colors we have. So I'm going to hit double check, and our text color looks like it's black all the way through. So I'm going to go here to text color, choose dark. You can choose a text size if you want, a default text size. I'll throw mine at 14. Background image. If you need margins, you can set those up. Now, this is the appearance for HTML, but we're working in CSS, so it's a lot better. Links, if you want to change the link color, I'm going to use standard link colors. So I'll go here to, I'll leave those blank for now. I can always come back to that, but if you want it to be something different, you can certainly have that. If you have any headings, you can set the size on those if you want them customized. And now I'm going to hit OK. So from there, go to, looks like I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 text boxes. This is kind of like that W3 one we did, except just larger. And the only sort of interesting thing is we have this little gap right there. So I'm going to just make this big area, the center area, white, and put this inside it. So to show you that, I'm going to go here to I'm in Designer, click here to Layout if I'm in Common, and draw some AP divs. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put that small white one, that small background one, sidebar right there. All right. Okay, let me take a look again. So we have light gray, and looks like 3 shades of gray. So I'm going to click on and do those gray ones first. Go up here, select my move handle. I can choose the background color. Same here. I'm going to take that. This one I'm going to make slightly lighter. And I believe the background color here was white. So I'm going to have to change the Z indexes later on for this one. So I'm going to move this to the side for right now and organize the rest of my page. So we'll go ahead and save it and then preview. Okay, mine's saved. Preview, you hit F12 or hit the globe here. And that's where I am so far. So I got some cleaning up to do. Organize these a little closer. Since it's hard to do just by looking at it, I'm going to select up here and just specify the width at 800. Let's make this a little longer. And then an F12 to take a look. Alright, so I'm getting there, so spend some more time on that. Okay, so I made a few improvements. Let's take a look at what I have. So I've got this. Notice there's still some fine lines between my boxes. I'm going to adjust any margins and spacing so that those lines are absent. Now, if I go back into Dreamweaver, if I go to this middle white box and go to its move handle and select that, notice down here I have a z-index of 2. And z-indexes are used for the three-dimensional stuff. So I'm going to move this box in the middle. And notice this is a z-index of 4. So what that does is the higher the number should be closer to the front. So I'm going to preview that again, refresh this. So remember, the higher the z-index, the closer to the front. So I'm going to polish that up a little more. Okay, so I got I tightened up all the boxes on there. And here's what I have so far. So the next thing we need to do is sort of center this on the page or adjust the margins. Since we're using absolute positioning, the screen size doesn't necessarily affect the way it looks. So we have to make a judgment call on what sort of monitor we want this optimized for. So what I would do is use your monitor. I'm using a laptop. It's a slightly smaller one. So it doesn't have to be exactly centered, but just make sure it looks good in terms of this stuff and this stuff on your screen. Furthermore, if you notice, there's nothing up top, so let's scoot our whole website up towards the top as well, so we don't have this bar. And then try and adjust the margin so it looks good on your screen. Okay, so I got mine moved to the top, and what I did was just select this. I selected the top box, and then I just moved the top to 0 and then adjusted the amount on all the other ones. So comparing it to this one, it looks like I need to make this area wider, bring in the graphic and the text, and still adjust the margins. So I'll do that now. Back to Dreamweaver, click here, make this one a bit wider. I'm going to bring in my picture. Alright, I'm going to need to make all the boxes wider now, it looks like. So I'm going to do that so I can accommodate this picture. Okay, now that I've made these wider, I made them 1100 pixels. It looks like we have the size right, but notice what it did to the margins on mine. So that may have solved that problem. I'll adjust that at the very end, but first I want to go and place this picture further towards the right. So to do that, I can try positioning the picture in Dreamweaver, or I can set it inside its own text box or AP div box within that existing div box if necessary. Let me see if I can figure out what's best. So if I click on here and try to move it, it doesn't look like it wants to move. So going back here, I can check. Looks like it has a little padding around the outside, and then maybe it's aligned to the right. So that's my next challenge. Okay, to move the picture around, I selected the picture, went down here to align right, rather than doing an AP div box. That scooted over to the right, but it was too far over, so then I went into vertical space and horizontal space and put in 20 pixels to give this sort of padding around there. So I can take a look. And that's getting there. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some links and add some text. I'm going to steal some lorem ipsum text, and if I just paste that it kind of gets stuck under here. So this box sort of gets in the way. So let me highlight this. I'm in CSS, Edit Rule, see if there's an option here. I can change the font, background, block. I could maybe use indentation there, or a box, but I might cancel that. I'm going to cut this out and just draw another AP div box. So looking at this picture, it looks like it uses most of this area. So I'm going to try and center that on my screen. I'm going to take another look at this picture. Looks like it's even with this sort of top of this box, and it's got a little bit of white space. So back here, draw AP div tag. I'll throw something like that in. Excuse me, and now paste. So now I can go through here and make things larger. So rather, I can change the font here to make it bigger, or I can go to HTML, format paragraph as heading 1, format this as maybe paragraph 3 or 2. Save it. That's what I'm looking for once again. And notice these are sans serif fonts. We'll have to go back and fix that as well. F5 to refresh, and that one's down in mine. That's the sample. Alright, so F12 previews it. That's what I have so far. So H2 heading, it looks like the font sizes are a little bigger, so that's what's next. Back into Dreamweaver. I'm going to select Page Properties, Appearance, CSS. Let's see if I can go larger, up to maybe 18 font. And hit OK. Is that too big? That might work. Let me scoot this up a little. And that doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to highlight this text. I'm in CSS. I'm going to change the font to Times New Roman. There, that's looking good. Okay, now for links, we should be able to add some text in here. But I might just throw in a link, AP div box right along these lines and type inside of there. Link 1, link 2, link 3, link 4, link 5. Whoops. Alright, so I lost that box because it's in 3D and it's in the way in the back. So I'm going to click kind of near where it was and then go to Code up top. And we have to find that AP div box. And if we can find it, set its Z index a little higher. So the problem is figuring out which one it is. And since all of them have background colors, it's probably one without a background color. And since this one's only 100 from the top, and it's 400 wide by 31, that might be it. Let me see if I change this to 9, if that makes a difference. hit refresh, go to my design, and there it is. So that was what the issue was. Alright, to make these links, you highlight the text, and somewhere there's an option to make those a link. I think it might be down here. If I click on HTML with that highlighted, if I wanted to link to another web page that I'd created, a file, I'd click on Browse File. But since that's not the case, I can do http://www.google.com and hit enter. Now that should be a live link when I save it and refresh. Oops, F5 is refresh. And there we go. So I need to place these a little better and then make each one of those links. Okay, so here's one I got so far. I need to expand this white text box a little bit, then add the sidebar and the footer. And here's what we're going for. So for footer, I'm just going to see if I can enter that word there. And see if I can center that. Oops, I need vertical centering. So I'll come back to that, and I'm going to add some sidebar. Okay, here's what I have so far. And I think I can either add padding here, but I think my text might be too big. So I have padding nicely on this size, and also I think my boxes are too wide. If you look at the image, it looks like this image is long enough to cover both, spills into this area as well. So let's change that next. So to do that, I'm going to go in and just select. I got the footer selected, so I might make that. I had it at 1100. I'll see if I can make it maybe 900. See what that does. I'll do the same on this top one. $900 there. And 900 there. I'll save it. Refresh my page. And looks like I got got something happening. I'll make this one, move this one in, and move my links in. Okay, so I switched to size 16 font, excuse me. These probably could be a little wider to make this match up perfectly with the picture. But more pressingly, it looks like I need to add some padding around this box and then center, or at least move the footer down some. So to do that, I'm here on in this sidebar. I'm going to Edit Rule, and I should be able to find under the box model, just under padding, I'm going to add 10. Since same for all is checked, I'll hit Apply. And that looks like enough padding. Now I'll go with 15. Now remember, when you add padding, it makes the box larger. So I'm going to have to resize this once again. So 15 on either side makes it 30 wider and 30 taller. So I'm going to take this down to 201 for the width, and the length I'll take 30 off, make that 112. And now I'll just reposition it and hope that works. That's a bit much. So my math was off. So I'll do it manually. And remember, if you need a precision move, you can select here and use the arrow key if you need to move like one cursor up or one cursor over. The arrow key does it one at a time. Alright, I'm going to do the same for this. Because as we know, we got to bring it down a bit. So Edit Rule. Go to Box. Padding, let's add 10 all the way around. Now let's go with 15. Keep it consistent and apply. Hit OK. Bring this down. As we guessed, this made our box wider. So I'm going to manually adjust it. Save your work. Refresh. And we're getting there. Though the padding made it a little wider. So I think that's the last thing I need to change. Alright, I'm going to deselect it, take a look. It's a tiny bit wide still. And I'm struggling. Sorry if I seem scatterbrained today, guys. Took some cold medicine. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, anyway, fix that, take a look. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Far easier than doing it in straight code. I've got 1 pixel of white there. I can probably live with that. Let's compare it to what it should look like. Slightly different colors. I could spend the time and make those colors a little more accurate, but that's quite alright. Look at the text. Not too bad. The graphic and the links. They're looking okay. And the last thing you want to do, I was previewing in Chrome. I'm going to preview in Explorer. If you're doing have Firefox or something like that, you might want to preview it there. So, not too bad. The only thing we didn't mess with are these margins. That'll be the last thing we do. Try and center it, and you're good to go.